Ursa Major. You think it's just the Big Dipper, but it's not. As seen in this picture, the Big Dipper is what's called an asterism contained inside the Ursa Major constellation. However, the 5 main stars of the constellation make up the handle and scepter of the Big Dipper. Let's start with the brightest star located in the middle, called Alioth. It just sounds awesome. And Alioth is located right here. Alioth is the brightest star in our constellation, although not the hottest. That belongs to another star. Alioth has an absolute magnitude of -0.22 and a spectral type of A0V. This means it's located on the main sequence along with being an A star, which means it has the most hydrogen lines, and it's very hot, although not the hottest star in the galaxy. That would be an O star. Next we have Dupy, which is located right here. Dupy has an absolute magnitude of -1.09 and a spectral type of F7V, which also means it's on the main sequence, and it's a slightly cooler star than Alioth. Next we have the star Alkaid, which is located right here. Alkaid has an absolute magnitude of -0.6 and a spectral type of B3V, which also means it's on the main sequence, but it's a B star, so it's slightly hotter than Alioth, although not as luminous. Next we have the star Mizar, which is located right here. Mizar has an absolute magnitude of 0.33 and a spectral type of A1V. This means it's an A star, so it's as hot as Alioth, although not as luminous, and is also located on the main sequence. Finally, we have the star Merak, which is located right here. This star has an absolute magnitude of 0.41 and a spectral type of A1V also, which means it's also an A star while still being on the main sequence. This picture here shows all I just described labeled along with all the other stars in the constellation. And now, with all those boring facts out of the way, it's time for some fun facts! Yes! Ursa Major is a very important constellation in the night sky, and I will show you why with the following picture. As you can see, the 2 points at the top of the scepter point northward to a star known as Polaris, also known as the North Star. Polaris was used and still is used today by sailors and lost travelers as a beacon that points true north. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. How can I find wherever this constellation is? Well, it's pretty easy to spot. It is almost the furthest northward constellation, except for Ursa Minor. But these cool pictures following should give you a good idea of where it is, and I'll explain each one. First is this picture, which shows all 4 and may be a little confusing, but I'll explain each one. First, we start with spring, which is right here. And as you can see, the bowl is high above and upside down, potentially giving water to the flowers below. Next, we have summer, right here, which you can see is sideways, as if it's going to take a nice scoop from the water below to quench someone's thirst. Next we have autumn, which is down here, and as you can see, it's right side up, potentially to catch leaves that are falling from the sky. And the last season is winter, where the handle is pointed down as if it's frozen like an icicle. Or if you don't like my story, you can buy this nifty little watch that'll show you where the constellation is during each season and exactly where to look. Now it's time for stellar evolution! Wait, what? Oh, it's just awesome and thought-provoking formations inside our constellation. Should be pretty awesome. First we start out with a mapped out view of Ursa Major. Yep, pretty cool. Did it myself. Then we move on to NGC 3982, which is right here, located inside the hindquarters of Ursa Major. NGC 3982 is about 68 million light years away, and the size is about 30,000 light years in diameter. NGC 3982 is an example of a star-forming region. Next we go back to Ursa Major, just by herself. Then we move on to NGC 3587, which is known as the Owl Nebulae, with a size of 0.15 solar masses and a distance of 2,600 light years. It's often called the Owl Nebula because of the two dark eyes it emulates. Wait. Owl Nebulae? Yes, owl. Owl inside a bear constellation. But as you can see from this picture, the nebulae is located below Ursa Major. This shows dominance, as greatly depicted by the illustration above. Next, we move back to the Ursa Major drawing, and we zoom into M101, which is an example of a spiral galaxy inside our constellation. The size of M101 is 17,000 light years across, and the distance to it is 27,000 light years. The number of stars is 103 billion solar masses. And on a side note, the luminosity is 30 billion times that of our Sun. 30 billion times! Okay, now we get back to Ursa Major. Next, we look at the irregular galaxy example in our constellation, also known as M82, or the Cigar Galaxy. The size is 10,000 light years across, and 12,000 kilolight years is the distance to it. That's really far. And it's also known as a red glow from a superwind of ionized hydrogen gas. Okay, Cigar Galaxy. Cool. Bear smoking cigar. But as you can see, the Cigar Galaxy is located above Ursa Major. This means the bear is not smoking a cigar. Aw, sad bear. Next we move on to the globular cluster Palomar 4, which was discovered in 1949 by E.P. Hubble, and 1 year later was named the Ursa Major Globular Cluster. It was first taken for a dwarf galaxy, and thereby named Ursa Major Dwarf. It is 1.3 arc-minutes in size and 356,000 kilolight years away from us. It is very difficult to view and has not been photographed often. Our last stellar formation is an open cluster called Colander 285. It is about 75 light years away from us and is made up of the brightest stars in the Big Dipper. The Ursa Major moving group, because of the way the stars move throughout each season, as I showed you before. It was discovered in 1869 by Richard A. Proctor, who noticed that the stars of the Big Dipper asterism all have proper motions heading in the same direction. Now it's time for the mythology behind Ursa Major. There is an interesting fable behind why it is a large female bear and why she roams the sky with her young son, Ursa Minor, every night. Our story begins with Callisto, who is a young and very skilled huntress. This caught the attention of the god Zeus, who came down and had an affair with Callisto. She bore a young son named Arcas, which made Hera, Zeus's wife, extremely jealous, and she turned Callisto into a large female bear. Poof! Callisto went searching back for her young son Arcas and leaned back on her hind legs to welcome her son.
However, Arcas was afraid by this and pointed his bow at the bear. Seeing this, Zeus changed Arcas into a small bear. Poof! Then Zeus reached down his hand and picked up the two bears and threw them into the sky, where they roam to this day. There are many other interpretations of Ursa Major. However, we only have time for a few, and this is another one I found interesting. In Arab mythology, the scepter of the Big Dipper is seen as a coffin, and the handle is seen as 3 weepers who follow the coffin to the grave. And now time for more fun stuff! Yay! In 2009, the band Third Eye Blind released an album titled Ursa Major. The album was met with mixed reviews, and some took it as the band was going in a different direction. Overall, it was rated 3 out of 5 stars. This abnormally tall man is Wilt Chamberlain. He stands a whopping 7 foot 1 inch tall. He was an NBA star and referred to as the Big Dipper. He holds numerous official NBA records in scoring and rebounding and durability. He's the only player in history to score 100 points in one game. He won 2 championships, and his nickname, the Big Dipper, was inspired by how he had to duck every time he entered a doorway because he's 7 feet tall. There's also a brand, Ursa Major, which sells skin products for men. It was founded in 2010, and they got a neat little logo right here that says Live Major. Ursa Major men's skin products. I could be their spokesman. There's also an Ursa Major band, which was followed by great popularity from their followers back in 2011 when they came out with 2 albums labeled and Blacklight. There's also this scary looking creature made up by Marvel Comics called Ursa Major, which was a man who turns into a giant bear beast and was created by the Soviets as a super soldier concept and made an appearance with the Incredible Hulk in a few of their comics. There was also an appearance of Ursa Major in the local show Magic School Bus on the episode when they get lost in the solar system. And finally, there's an appearance of Ursa Major in Disney's Tomorrowland. It's called Ursa's Major Minor Mart. It's a souvenir shop in Tomorrowland. So go and visit that when you get the chance.